We're here today at the iconic CCO in Aachen, and I'm joined by no one less Henrik Ankarcrona, perhaps one of the most respected, successful chef d'équipes at the moment, Team Sweden. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you.
I've asked you to join me today because I had the privilege to meet you a few years ago, and you told me a little bit about your story, and I was really intrigued. And you then went on to win 3 consecutive gold medals at the Olympics in Tokyo, then the World Championships in Herning, and the European Championships as well in Milan. And obviously you have many more titles to your name. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about you, your story. How does one become a chef d'équipe?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a straight example for that. I think everyone is different and have to find their own path. For me, I didn't have a path that would lead up to being a chef d'équipe. If someone would ask me 10 years ago, maybe I would have said sometime in the long future or so. I was a writer. I did everything from ponies to juniors to young riders to seniors, even some World Cups and Nation Cups and so on. And lived abroad for a while in Holland and Germany, riding and training. And I moved back to Sweden in 2005, I think it was. So I was about 7 years abroad, and started to ride for myself and build up a business. And it went okay, but it's not only about being a good rider. I think I was a decent rider. I'm not going to say I was a good rider, but I was a decent rider. But it's so much more. If you want to build something and you want to be at the top level, you have to find the partners and the sponsors and to be able to find the horses. And there's a lot to it. I was doing all right, but not getting up the level I was maybe hoping for. And then, more or less out of the blue, they phoned and asked for my federation if I wanted to consider taking the chef d'équipe job, and that was after Rio in 2016.
Right.
So I knew there was going to be a change, and I was sitting around the coffee table as everyone else, thinking who would do that, and who can they find to do that, and then they phoned me, and I was, and that's not for me. I'm a rider. I'm not, But and I was thinking about it, and I spoke with my wife, of course, and we always said that you should do things that scares you a bit, because that's how you develop, and you cannot. It's being a rider is very, very tough, and you need. I think for me it was important to have more legs to stand on. If in case something happened, you can get injured or you might not get the owners you want and this and that. And so I did a few different things, training and so on. And this came up and I thought, if I have to choose the most scary thing for me, that would be it.
Yeah.
And so it went actually really fast. I can't remember really. They phoned me sometime in the beginning of October, I think, and I started in November that year.
Okay.
So I didn't really have a plan or okay, I'm going to be chef d'équipe. This is my vision, and I had to kind of make it up as I went along.
Yeah, learning on the job.
Yeah.
Why do you think they called you?
Well, I had a few questions about joining the group of leaders for the youth a few times, and I was sometimes giving a training and so on, and I think I was involved in the ponies a little bit, not as a main man, but I always enjoyed, the technical part and the leadership part, and I was involved in the federation in a few different committees, and I think I had a reputation anyway. Hopefully, still do. But that, I'm quite organized and easily I can talk to a lot of people. And for me, I don't know if that's what they were thinking, but I didn't really. How should I put it? I didn't sit in someone's lap. I had no big sponsor. I didn't have any. I was not a big horse dealer, and I was quite unattached.
Yeah.
Which I think was to my benefit.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm thinking afterwards. I don't know if that was what they was thinking,
Yeah.
but it was for sure it was a gamble for them because I think the youngest chef de keep ever to be in Sweden anyway,
Right.
and I didn't have any merits in this regard. So
Yeah, sure.
for sure it was a chance.
Yeah. And you took that chance. You said you had to learn on the job. How did you approach that? What was did you have a vision? Did you have a philosophy as to this is how I'm going to approach this?
Well, yes. First of all, I said, let's do, because normally you work in a 4-year circle because of the Olympics. So I said, let's do one with option for 3, because then it's easy for both of us to split ways if it's not going to work. And then I said, it's important for me to pick my own team.
Yeah.
And I said, I want few extra people in the beginning, because I need someone that I really can talk to and have done it before, and then we'll see after a year. And that was also the case. So I had a couple of extra people, and then after a year, I narrowed it down, the support staff or the leader team. But other than that, I said I have to. I mean, I rode a few Nation Cups and so on, and so I had some experience from leaders and so on. So I said I have to think as myself as a rider, and what do I want?
Very good. Okay.
So that was actually the when I phone a rider, I'm thinking, okay, or if they phone me, I should say, okay, how are you? How are your horses? Is there anything I can help you with?
Nice.
That's the three bottom lines.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, you have to listen, and you have to try to understand each rider's situation.
Yeah. Yeah. How important is listening in your job?
It's very important. I mean, can't stress it enough. But again, you have to listen, but you also have to. I mean, every rider is in their own pipe. I don't know how to say that.
On their own journey.
On their own journey, and it's quite the tunnel. They can get quite tunnel vision. I believe they have to, because I mean, there's so much in their world, and their horses and their owners, and I have to listen and try to understand them. But it's my job to see the bigger picture. So you listen, but then sometimes, I mean, you can't take everything for a truth. It might be their truth. So I'm not saying they're lying, but I have to see it in a broader perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel your own background in riding helps you in this job? You said, like, I approach it almost from a rider perspective. What did I want to hear back in the day? Is there anything else from your riding background that helps you in this job?
Well, I think it helped me to gain the respect of the riders, because that was one of my main questions, or I mean, the riders that we have in the team has been my idols, the ones I still look up to them, but and I've been training for some of them, and then what will happen when the balance shifts a little bit, because it will be a different approach and a different balance.
Different dynamic?
Different dynamic, is a good word. And my feeling was that they straight away said, okay, we're going to give you a chance. And I believe that my background as a rider, and they had some respect for that. So I think that helped me in that way. And I mean, for me, I was a rider. I was always a rider. So that was easy for me to have that approach. If I would have done it in a different way, I don't think I would have sold it in a good way, because it wouldn't really be me.
Yeah, it would not be natural.
No.
Understood. So what I hear you say is listening really from a rider's perspective, taking it all in, and then from there kind of looking at, okay, what's required also to get the job done. How important is team spirit? It's
very important. It's riding or show jumping, if we're talking about the jumping sport, is an individual sport. That's for me the bottom line.
Yeah.
How can I get? I sometimes when I speak to people outside the sport and try to explain, I say it's like to have a. If you take football, for example, it's a club, you know. So each rider is their own club. They have their own sponsors and their own nutritionists, blacksmiths, physios, doctors, families around, horse owner. They have, and they are the sole responsible.
Yeah.
It's actually not really possible if you think about it like that. The weight they have on their shoulders.
Yeah.
And so I have to try to be I want to be a small part in every club, you know, and it's a little bit up to the rider, each part they want me to play. And that's why I have to listen and try to understand, because in one club, maybe I play a little bit bigger part. And in one, I'm just, you know, I'm there, and then hopefully they feel a bit extra support when I'm there. But I mean, they compete 45 plus weekends a year, and let's say I'm there 5, 6. It can never be that they're dependent on me, because then it's not going to work.
No.
I'm losing your question maybe a bit, but to answer, I have to try to get all these. Let's say it's 5 clubs coming together as one for a nation cup or a championship, and to make them work better together and to make them enjoy the other one's success. That's a big thing. That's the biggest. I think one of the biggest compliments I got so far in the job. Someone in the riders team in their club came up to me and said, "I really enjoy when it goes well for the other Swedes. I never felt that before."
Yeah. How did you create that? That's huge.
Yeah, I don't know. If I knew, I would do it every day. I think I'm just, you know, I'm there. They know that. For me, it's important that they know that my sole purpose is to be there and support them.
Yeah.
I have no agendas. I'm not trying to sell your horse to someone else. I'm not trying to maybe get your sponsor to also sponsor that one. And I don't have anything like that. And I mean, I can say that, but it means nothing. It's empty words. They have to trust that.
Yes.
So I'm really trying not to, and that's a difficult part, not to get too involved.
Yeah.
Because that's the passion
Yes.
and the technical part and the talking to the owners and I do that, but I always try to be really careful with the confidence with the rider. If I talk to an owner or a groom or whatever, I will always inform the rider that I did and what we spoke about, and I always tell the owner as well that the conversations we have, unless you tell me it's very between you and me, I will also let the rider know.
Yeah.
So I will never try to get in the middle of, because it's always the rider's responsibility to create their own team or however you want to call it. And if I can be a small part and I can get them to enjoy the other success, that will also make them help each other and discuss a little bit together. We had, you know, in Sweden, we had back from the 70s, we had Hermann Schridde and we had later Frank Slotak and Henk Noren and Hans Horn and Kaiser. We had Nelson Pessoa was a lot in Sweden, and we always took in, I would like to say, the best to help us. If you look at all these names, there's maybe not a really straight line, except that they were very, very good, maybe even the best at what they did. In a different way. I thought that, okay, who's going to be our trainer now when I start? And I had a few names, but, you know, I couldn't really get them because it's a big market. And then I thought that, okay, who can I bring in that want the success for me and my riders as much as we do?
Yeah.
I don't think there is one.
Right.
So I thought that, okay, and we're pretty good. If I take my top 5 riders, the knowledge they share, I mean, we can always be better. That's not what I mean. But if we could share it a bit more and be a bit more open, and I think we can get a long way.
Yeah.
And I believe we managed that somehow. I didn't have a trainer yet. Oh, we had Rolf Göran coming home, giving some trainings and so, but to bring in a trainer and say, okay, everyone have to take instructions here. That's not going to work. I think it's very, very rare to manage to work that out.
That's really, really interesting. So what I hear you say is actually being a leader means listening and not having to be involved necessarily, but actually listening to what the riders need from you. And first and foremost, being sincere with just wanting to be supportive, nothing else. And from there, you create trust.
I think that's a good summary, yeah.
It's interesting because I've noticed the parallels between leadership and horsemanship. I mean, isn't that the same what riders need to do with their horses to create trust?
It's not. It's the same. I mean, life is very difficult, so we shouldn't try to make it more difficult.
Indeed.
I mean, we should really down to the basic needs and try to understand.
Yes.
If I don't understand, if I treat all the riders, if I put all the riders in the room and I say we all going to run in that direction, and half said, "Oh, well, I want to go that way. I can't do anything."
Yeah.
But then I have to find a purpose for where are we going, and to realize that each individual must find their own way to get there.
Yeah.
And I might have some ideas or say, yeah, but did you think about that? And maybe, I mean, that's a discussion that is important to have. There are many ways to Rome. Huh?
Do you have these kinds of conversations with the team, like together, or is it more like one-on-one?
It's mostly one-on-one. I don't. When I was younger, then every year you took 2 or 3 days, maybe 1 or 2 times, and you collected everyone, and you played some games, and you gave them a lot of information and so on. But the schedule the riders have nowadays, I don't want to take them 2 days away from their businesses.
Right.
And I mean, if they have 1 day, I want them to spend that at home with their family, with their staff, with their horses, you know.
Yeah.
So unless it's something very, very special, I won't do that. And I don't think I have actually for 8 years. It's almost 8 years now.
Yeah.
But whenever I can, especially shows in Sweden, like Gothenburg and Falsterbo is difficult because it's so much people, but try to get them in a room for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Just to lay out the year a little bit, and I had them in November, for example. You know, a little bit to lay out my thoughts towards Paris, and so sometimes it's important that everyone hears the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you a story, and exactly the same to someone else, but you will come back to me with complete different.
Right. Yeah.
But if you hear it at once and you talk about it a bit and you see the reaction from someone else, and it's better.
Yeah.
It's the same if I normally have a phone meeting before a Nation Cup, not every time, but still I will phone each individual and say it to them first.
Yeah.
But then I will also say it when they're all there.
Right.
Because I think I believe it's important.
What makes that communication, that clarity, why is that so important?
Because there's so many different interests. And like I said, they're all, the riders are tunnel visioned, and they hear what they want to hear. And I don't have a problem with that, but that makes me think I have to try to be over clear sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you can say something once, but
it might not land.
No.
Yeah.
And it's also, we're here in Aachen now. There's so much going on. Huh?
Absolutely.
And I don't even know half of all the things that riders have to do, you know, interviews, magazines, horse owners, a sponsor, and there's so much. And I want them to focus on the competition.
Yeah.
Huh? I call it the 80-40.
Yeah.
80 seconds in the first round and 40 seconds in the second round.
Right.
When I put the youth together now the other week before a show, I just wrote 80 on the board and I said, what is that? and no one knew. I said, that's your focus for the week. Everything you do is about those 80 seconds when you're in the ring. So just when you do, I'm 100% on board that you have to do other things, but remember why you're here.
Yeah.
Why all the sponsors, horse owners, everyone around you, they will be happy when those 80 seconds work.
Yeah.
You can give them a lot on the side, but if you don't get the 80 seconds, that won't matter.
Yeah.
So it's a process. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Focus on the process.
Yeah. Nice.
Get the performance.
Yeah. Very true. Something I preach a lot. Now I work with obviously riders at the top and top level of the sport, and what I've noticed a lot is many of these riders, they have their main goal is to be on the team for their country and to ride at a big championship or Nations Cup, and as a result, they're very focused on results. Is that the only thing you look at as a chef d'équipe when picking your team?
Actually, it's not. I mean, I'd like if it was only the result, we could use AI. I could just put my phone out, and that would probably get the best team out of the performance. But for me, it's not about that. I mean, if you don't perform, you won't be on the list.
Sure.
But it's everything. It's the experience. It's the age of the horse, the experience of the horse, the number of competitions done, and it's. I mean, I can name probably 100 things if I'm thinking about it. You cannot just base it on the last 4 months results.
Yeah.
I mean, you have older horses not competing that much. You have a rider that you really know. Okay, year after year they come to the championship, they're prepared, and they rise. And I think a lot of combinations have to struggle too much to get in the team, which means that they will perform at its best in June. The championship is normally in August.
Yeah.
But again, that makes it also difficult because you have to give everyone a fair chance to get on the team.
Yeah.
So for me, it's always about working with not as large a group as possible, but everyone who believes that there is a chance. You know, I have the horse for it, and I can make a good plan. So I have to support everyone on their journey, and then they will fall off one by one because that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But I can never. I never want to say, okay, you had a bad week, so next week you're out.
Right.
Unless something happened, or you have to give them the chance, and you have to give them the confidence to try again.
Yeah.
So for the championship, I mean, without result, it will not work. But that's for sure not the only thing. I think a lot of times, I one or two of the ones with maybe the best results, the 2-3 months before will not be on the team. Not because I choose that way, but the long-term plan, always long-term plan.
Okay.
The single competition can never be more important than the long-term plan.
Got it.
And we're lost.
Okay. So when looking at the long-term plan, all the elements kind of need to come together. The horse, the well-being, fitness of the horse, what I hear you say, how the rider deals with the pressure. You mentioned giving the riders a confidence as well. Like how do you do that? Like how do you help riders with that, building their confidence?
Well, I think I help them with creating an environment on the show where they feel that they can perform. You know, I speak quite a lot about being the best version of yourself. You know, not for every week. Well, it goes for every week, but I'm not preaching this to the riders all the time. But when we go to championship, I'm trying to be quite clear that either you bring the best version of yourself, or you stay home. And that's not only the rider; it's the groom, and it's myself, it's my team, it's everyone around. It's actually everyone with the Swedish accreditation, because it only takes one.
Yeah.
That comes and interrupts, and then then you become a disturbance.
Yeah.
I have this equation, you always get a result no matter what you do. But to get the result, you have a process, you have the performance, minus the disturbances.
Right.
So process plus performance minus disturbances.
Right.
That will be the result.
Yeah.
So how you deal with these three things.
Yeah.
So I can help them with the disturbances.
You mean distractions?
Yeah, distractions.
The things that can distract? Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, that can be anything. And I can help them to work on the process. The performance, I mean, you're all alone when you go in there.
Yeah.
But they should have, I know myself as a rider, the rounds that you really remember is that when you went in the ring, you were completely relaxed and you knew that I have the best plan. Everything is done. I can just go in and enjoy this.
What strikes me is when you talk about how you approach things and how you approach the riders, it's one thing to say, look, be the best version of yourself. You've got this. But it's another thing to also live that yourself as part of that team.
Yeah.
And I think we all, as human beings, we pick up on when someone is not genuine. And I wonder if, and I think that's also what I picked up on when I met you a few years ago, as a chef d'équipe or any coach or trainer for that matter, if you really genuinely believe in that rider, people feel that.
Yeah.
Do you think that sets you apart from other chef d'équipes?
I don't know. And I don't. I focus on myself and my team. I don't want to talk about the other chefs. It's always interesting to observe, and I try to learn a lot from all the. I mean, we all do good things, and we do things that we should do better. Myself included, absolutely. I have every day. I think I should have done a lot of things different when you think about it, but I think it's if the rider feel that you don't trust them or that you don't have confidence in them, how are they going to perform? Yeah. I mean, like I said, they have so much other people around them who demands and who wants, and I think the most pressure they have from themselves. So I could be the one on their side. Yeah. We can have a conversation, and we can disagree. We can disagree a lot.
Yeah.
We maybe even have to agree to disagree in the end. I don't have a problem with that. Still, there's a way forward, and there's still. It's not. I'm not going to stab them in the back.
Yeah.
And they have to genuinely believe that.
Yeah. That leads to trust and long-term success. Yeah.
That's what we share in the end. That we must share: passion, trust, and we have to communicate.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's showing how important it is that every member of the team also lives that themselves. Yeah. It's not enough to just say you need to do that. In order to really be a leader, I think we have to first live that ourselves. Yeah. Obviously, for the young people that you give a chance on the team, coming to these kinds of events like here in Aachen or, going to their first championship, it's a lot of pressure. How do you do anything specific to support them with that?
Well, again, it depends where you start. But let's say you jump in the spring, in the winter, and you have a horse. And I believe in, and of course they have to believe it themselves, but normally they do. And you say, okay, what's the goal of the year? And you always get a few riders who, I want to do the big shows in Sweden. I said, I'm sorry, but that's not interesting for me. What is your big goal? You have a goal to, but maybe I can do a jump. Yeah, but what is your big goal? You have to, do you believe you can jump a European championship? Yeah, maybe, yeah. So, and if I believe in the horse, I say, so could you jump in Aachen in 26? Actually, I think I can. Good. So let's make a plan. And then you have to start somewhere, and of course I have to believe in it and to make it, to help them to make a good plan. But then you start to prepare them for something, and you try to find a few shows, and a lot of times they will not get the shows they want because that's the way the world works.
Mm-hmm.
To make the right preparations and to go up in the class and to go down, and so that's the way to prepare, and but then mentally or to come and perform, I think I don't do too much with them. Some riders are coming in new. I try to talk to them a little bit more, and I try to, what kind of help do you need? And I try to look at their team. Where do I fit in? And if I don't really know, I will talk to them a little bit, or I will just watch them from a distance. I say, listen, I'm here. I'm here to help you with whatever you want help with.
Yeah.
I can run and get your jacket if you want. I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
I can help to put fences up. I'm happy to hear your thoughts about the track, and I'm happy to have a conversation afterwards. But in your process up to the performance, I'm there, and I will not step in unless you ask me to. And again, trying to figure out where they are, and then afterwards, and I must say that's one of the most difficult parts, to not step in, because that's the most fun part, actually, the tactics and how can we do the warm up, but again, they didn't get there because of me or because of what I told them. They got them themselves, so I should not go in and try to change things.
Yeah.
However, I'm happy to sit down afterwards and what did you think about that, and why did you do that, and could you consider doing this? And then after a while, when you get to know them, it's easier,
Sure.
But the mental preparation and so on, it's also very different from rider to rider. Yeah. First, you have to see what the needs are and
what they're like.
Sometimes I think maybe you should talk to someone about this and this, and who do you work with, and how have you done before, and so I never try to be the expert.
Yeah. What I hear you say, and I think is really important, is to actually start with letting them speak out loud. What do you want? And I think that's often overlooked. Like, we forget to actually really clearly, everybody wants to succeed, but to actually clearly identify for yourself, this is my goal. This is what I want to do. And having spoken to the best in the sport, that's really what strikes me, is they have very clear in their mind, this is what I'm going to achieve. This is what I'm going to do. They know exactly what they want to do. And actually asking that question and not stopping until it's very clear, like, this is the show I want to go to, or this is the Nations Cup or Championship I really want to ride at. I think it really creates a direction for these riders to know, oh, okay, well, if that is the goal, we need to work backwards from that. And to continuously asking them, what do you need? Putting them in the leader position in that way to step up and choose and to actually communicate what they need. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, and I think there's no other really good way in my view anyway, because if I start to really push and say you have to do this and that, and I'm not going to be there along the way. I will be there every once in a while.
Yeah.
So that might just create something that will be not in their best interest.
It does require to put one's ego to the side, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What have you learned from, you have amazing riders on your team, Henrik von Eckermann, Peter Frederiksen, Malen. What have you learned from them?
Yeah, they keep me on my toes.
I'm sure they do.
No, but I'm thrilled and blessed, and with having people like that. They're not only fantastic riders, but they are also, in my opinion, very good with their horses, and they're very different. And I can talk riding with someone because I'm a little bit in the same, have the same idea, and with the other one, it's very difficult for me because I'm trying to understand, and I'm very interested, but it's difficult to really understand. But what I believe and I learned is that even though with the differences, if everyone lets their ego down and sits down and talk, you're going to create something magical. It's not about having the very best horse rider combination. I mean, it's a lot, but it's not enough if you want to win, because you have to be at your best. And you have to be comfortable with all the people around you, and you have to be able to share, and you have to be able to speak out loud. I mean, afterwards, that what you did there I didn't like, and why did you do that? And these guys, they helped me to create that, because they all agreed that it will be better for us. We speak out our mind. Everyone, like I said, it's an individual sport. You do your thing, you do your thing. We communicate. And if I want help, I will ask anyone, and they will give their feedback.
Yeah.
And when we're done riding, we can sit down. We can say exactly what we think. But no one is going to run in the warm up and start to. It happens sometimes, but then I have to pull them back.
Yeah.
Because. So I don't know if that's the answer of the question, but for sure, since they're so different, that helped me in my process of how should I approach the riders.
Yeah.
And I had one of our riders. He said before a championship, really early, like in January, I'm going to be ready for the championship this year. So I said, great. And he kept going, and I said, yeah, but I don't pick the team now. Huh? He said, that's not what I said. I said, I'm going to be ready. And that's my job. Your job is to pick the right team. And that for me was, I used that quite a lot.
Yeah.
For me, that determination, and I'm going to be ready. I understand that the other riders also will be ready, but I can focus on my thing and be the best I can be with my team.
Yeah.
And your job is to pick the team that you believe is going to do the best championship together.
Yeah.
So I learn from the riders all the time, and they are my inspiration.
Yeah.
Not only the Swedish riders, of course, maybe more them, because I'm closer to them.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just to go out here and watch the when they ride in the morning, or speaking to a chef or a former chef or a trainer, or I mean, there's so much to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really valuable. Not long now, obviously, till the Olympics, Paris. What are your goals and what are your predictions?
Yeah, it's my goal has been for every championship that we're gonna raise the bar, that we're gonna be better. So looking at 3 gold medals, how are we gonna do better? It's not only about the result. It's that we are gonna be better as individuals and then also as a team. Better with the preparations, better with the management of the horses, better with the support staff. We can do everything better.
Yeah.
Because it's the small details in the end.
Right.
So that's always my goal. And that came a little bit after a few silver medals we had in 17 and 18.
Right.
And so I said, okay, we do really well, because we have 2 silver medals, Europeans and World Championship. So if we do the same for was then Tokyo, then we can expect a silver medal.
Yeah.
So we have to do something different, and it's not about changing everything, because we're on the right track.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit for me. Okay, we always have to, and this for the riders is normal, but still you have to talk a bit about it.
Yeah.
What can we do? What do you do with your horse too? And my horse is completely different, but and to listen and to maybe did you tell him that, or did you tell her what you did? Because that's my helping to create that puzzle, to create that dialogue. A lot of times, a lot of times I don't have to, because they do it themselves.
Right.
But it started somewhere. Okay, so for Tokyo, for Paris, of course we want to win. I mean, we would not go to a championship. We have very good horses. We have the riders with all the experience, but again, I'm very humble, and it's going to be very, very tough. And I had some reporters phoning me and asking me questions and saying, so you actually statistically,
yeah,
using the words, you can't win. Did you know that? Because you won 3 times. It's not going to happen again. It's just... So I said, thank you very much. And then I phoned the riders and say, listen, we can stay home.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to win anyway. that was good fuel.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my hope is that we're going to do, that we're going to be well prepared, that the horses is going to come out fit afterwards. They might be mentally tired and physically tired, as well as all of us will be.
Yeah.
But we're going to be stronger.
Yeah.
And we're going to say, okay, we did all the preparations. Now, when the bell goes, anything can happen.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of respect for that. It's not only the human, it's the horse, and it's a lot of things that we cannot control that can happen.
Yeah.
But everything that we can control, going back to the equation, everything with the process, all the obstacles or disturbances needs to be handled. You can't take them all away, but you're gonna see them come.
Yeah.
And again, it's not only the riders, it's the groom and it's the horse owners. And I told the horse owners, I had a meeting with some of them, and I tried to explain this process, and I said, so the riders, they have their equation, and you have yours, and I have mine, and the team have one. And so where are you in the riders' process? Because if you come in wrong in the process, you're going to be a disturbance. Mm-hmm. So I thought maybe I was going to lose my job for telling the horse owners that they might be a disturbance. But, it's actually quite a few came up afterwards and said that was very clear for me. That because the closer you come to the performance, you work for, I don't know how many years to come to Olympic Games. But while at the Olympic Games, everyone don't really have a role.
Yeah.
They deserve to have one.
Yeah.
But the process to the performance, it only takes a few. Huh?
Yeah.
And that's tough. And if you don't agree around that before, then it's going to be something for the rider to handle during the championship. Indeed. And that's not good.
No.
Because they need to focus on what they're going to do on the 80 seconds.
Exactly. Yeah. So all of that is all part of the preparation, right? What I hear you say, it's really focusing on the marginal gains, as they call it, the tiny little details that could really make the difference, especially if you put them all together. And at the same time, not having any expectations about the results.
No, I mean, of course we do, and the riders even more than me. I'm trying to keep it down, but I mean, it's not. We're not going to say to media that we're happy with the 4th place, because we're not.
No, the goal is
the goal is to win, and we don't mind saying it out loud.
Yeah.
But again, there are 8 teams that can win, and coming back to they all have horses and riders that's good enough.
Yeah.
So that cannot be all.
Yeah. Nice. Really helpful. Any advice for coaches, trainers, that want to help support their riders in the best possible way to get to championships, for example?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's important not to push too much, but to push in the right moment, and that takes a lot of knowledge, of course, and getting to know and getting to understand. Maybe that's the most important. A lot of times we want that medal or we want that championship as much as the rider do, but the horse and rider combination have to be in focus. What's best for them for this moment, and again, never let the one class or the one performance be more important than the long-term plan. I mean, there are a million things, but I didn't figure it all out. I'm trying to learn. So I'm always asking what the other one's doing and why they're doing, and trying to understand and learn more.
So keep learning as well. Yeah. Then finally, what advice would you give the riders that really want to one day be at the top, be consistently on teams?
But I think first of all, I mean, the horse. It always comes down to the horse. You have to have, like I said, the passion and build the trust with the horse, and you have to want to do it every day. You have to want to understand the horse. I mean, you have to be good at riding, and you have to always learn and be better, and the technical part, and you have to make a good plan, and you have to find the right people to support you, and you have to work on this every single day. But most riders, they train every day, and they talk to people. But again, they really have to have the passion. I think the passion to understand the horse, and not, if the goal gets too strong, I think it takes over too much.
Yeah.
You need the goal. You need part goals, and you need to always think, am I on the right way to the goal when you make the decision? But as long as you always have the horse, is this the best plan for the horse right now? And have people around it that you trust.
Yeah.
So, but again, I mean, without the horse, we have to do something else.
This sport is about the horse, after all.
It is about the horse, and if we lose sight of that, then we're in trouble.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fantastic advice. So summarizing that one, yes, be very clear in your goals. Don't just say, I want to do that one day, but really clarify what your goals are. And at the same time, always keep in mind what the horse needs, putting their interest first, looking at that horse and figuring out constantly, what do they need to be at their best? What do they need from me?
Because I mean, when if you don't do that every day, there's no way you're gonna be able to do it when you're day for the Nation Cup in Aachen, or when you go into the final in Paris, or you can't start to feel there. You have to, when the more pressure it comes, the more close you are to the limit with what you're capable of. And so the base needs to be strong, and it needs to be solid, and it needs to be a good understanding, so that you can feel and understand what you need to do with that very moment, and keep calm, and the horse does this and that. Yeah, I know, because for whatever reason.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for all your wisdom, your insights. It's been really eye-opening. As a thank you, I would like to give you a copy of my book, Winning Habits.
Yeah,
I hope you enjoy the read.
Yeah, need a different team on the front.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Maybe the next one. It's a very good team, though, I must say.
It was very good in that moment.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I believe you guys were second to them, right?
We were second, so they were for sure the best ones.
Yeah.
Looking up to these guys a lot.
Well,
I actually told their coach there. This was in Tryon, in 2018,
yeah.
So we were lost in the jump off. We were not prepared for the jump off. So I shook his hand and congratulated him, and I said, I'll beat you in Tokyo.
And you did.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Nice. I love that.
I didn't know at the time, but it just came out.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. That's a really one hell of a story. I hope we got that last one.